Thank you for joining State 48 News today. This is Master Sergeant Jack Dona. And if you were anywhere around Arizona, you saw the Stolen Valor bill last legislature. It was major in Arizona. So today we are talking because we know that Representative Walt Blackman spearheaded that, and he really did have to whip several votes. He had to definitely pull the bill along to get it to pass, but he was not the only one. Master Sergeant here, Mr. Dona, was instrumental in making the bill pass, and the bill is named after his father. So thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Just to let your audience know, I am a retired Master Sergeant, U.S. Army. So yes.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So State 48 News got a hold of a letter that Mr. Dona wrote to Speaker Montenegro at the legislature.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, you were not able to immediately get a copy of the proclamation that the bill had signed, and that was important to you. Can you kind of tell our audience a little bit about that?
So um, this is actually a situation that goes all the way back to April. You know, when the bill was originally being uh, put together, the bill itself and the proclamation. Um, I was asked to help to write portions of it. In fact, I wrote portions of the special tabs decorations portion. I pulled it out of Army Regulation 670-1 because it was missing. And basically, that the whole genesis of the bill and the proclamation. I assisted um, Representative Blackman and his staff with writing it. So when the bill was passed in April, uh, you know, Mr. Blackman asked me to do a signing ceremony, and I declined to do that. I for my own reasons, I explained it to him. I did not feel it was appropriate, and then he asked if he could use my father's photograph at a signing ceremony with the governor, and I said no, I don't approve of that. That's not appropriate. I told Mr. Blackman that we should just take the win, don't spike the ball, and the good that we set out to do, we did, and so I kind of sensed that there was a little contention there because of that, because I just didn't feel it was appropriate for me to appear with uh, at a signing ceremony due to some of the uh, uh, political articles that I had myself written in regards to the 2020 and 2022 elections. But I digress. Representative Blackman promised me that he would get me the proclamation, and as far back as April, I kept asking him, either by text or by phone. And the last time that I asked him, and I believe you have those. I sent you those text messages from my phone. Excuse, yeah, I still roll with a BlackBerry, so I'm sure you probably got a kick out of that. So, but the last time I asked him was in August, and he said that everybody was very busy and it was touch and go. But I wasn't asking for myself, uh, uh, and I was asking for my aunt. She's 88 years old. This is my father's sole surviving sister, and she has macular degeneration of the eyes. And so she was rapidly losing her vision. She still is. She has to read with a very, very high powered diopter magnifying glass now. So, and coupled with the fact that 2 years ago she lost her husband. She was married to him for many, many years, 60 plus years, and
Wow.
and and then the loss of my father. They were very close. They would call each other twice a day. Uh, and they both survived. Uh, you know, communism. My dad escaped from Nicaragua. That's as you know, and so they were extremely close. So it really hit her hard when we lost him last year, and she's been slowly declining in health, uh, and so it was important to me. So I had been telling Representative Blackman that I just wanted a copy, that I could take to show my aunt because I was coming up to visit her. She lives in Nevada, and so I never got anything from Representative Blackman. So what I did was I I tried to think of someone that had been there with the effort from the beginning, and Representative Wynn, uh, Juan Wynn, had given me his personal phone number, and said, if anything, you need anything, let me know. So I messaged him, and he gave me a call, and I told him, I said, is there any way I can go up to the legislature and talk to whoever does that, the archivists or whoever does that, and I just need a photocopy. And so Representative Wynn was stunned. He says, "You still don't have a copy of it?" And I says, "I don't." And I just it's not for me. I want to give it to my aunt who is in declining health. So uh, he said, let me make some calls, and I'll get back with you. So I think it was maybe a couple days later, I got a call from Representative Blackman's assistant. This was in probably in September. So basically 2 months after my last message to Representative Blackman. And she, uh, when I got on the phone with her, the first question she asked me was, she said, who did you call and who did you contact about this proclamation? And I told her, I said, I have been trying for months to get a copy of this proclamation from Representative Blackman. And so I thought that if I could contact Representative Wynn, he could put me in touch with someone I could get a copy. And so she said, "Can I have your mailing address?" And I gave it to her, and she said, "We're going to mail you a copy of the proclamation." And I never received it. So another 2 or 3 weeks went by, and I contacted Representative Wynn, and I told him, I said, I told him just what I told you, that about Blackman's assistant contacting me, and that I was going to see my aunt in a few days. So Representative Wynn told me that he would get back with me, and so we ended the phone call. And then he called me back. I think he called me back the next day, actually, and he said that he had spoken to Speaker Montenegro, Steve Montenegro, and that Speaker Montenegro was, uh, how should I say, was disappointed. Disappointed would be the least what I heard. Uh, and so Representative Wynn said, uh, I have been directed by Speaker Montenegro to reproduce an official proclamation, and it will be my name, Representative Win Kwan, that will be on the proclamation. I will sign it, and so I told him, I said, I'm leaving Monday, and he said, I know, and I don't want to trust the mail. So I drove from Sierra Vista, Arizona, the next day. That's about a 3.5 hour drive from the capital. So I drove up there with my wife. I met with Representative Wynn's representative, and he handed me the proclamation. We came back here, and so uh, that is that is essentially what took place. I was able to get the proclamation, and I that Monday, my wife and I, we drove up to Nevada, Pahrump, Nevada, where my aunt lives, and I was able to I was able to give her the proclamation. And so I'm very indebted to Representative Wynn and Speaker of the House, Steve Montenegro, for doing that. Excuse me.
Yes, sir, you're fine.
So, uh, you know, when I gave it to my aunt and uh, and I read it to her, she just looked at it and she held it, and you know, and she just kept holding it, and I said, do you want to hang it up someplace? And she told me, she says, no, she says, I want you to go and put it on my bed, because before I go to bed tonight, I want to read it with my magnifier. And then when I wake up in the morning, I want to, read it again. And so she was so proud and she was so happy, she's, because, she loved my dad. I loved my dad also, and, it's just unfortunate, it's unfortunate, Christy, that this that it ended this way in such a manner. And so I felt that it was incumbent upon me to write that letter that I addressed it to Speaker Montenegro. And I stand by everything that I said in that letter. I mean, I don't know, I don't understand why uh Representative Blackman treated me this way. I did everything that he asked me to do. I never asked for a single penny in compensation for anything.
Mr. Dona, let
Yeah.
me explain to the listeners and the readers. You
Mhm.
live 3.5 hours. Is that round trip or one way?
That's just one way.
Okay, 3.5 hours you live from the Capitol.
Yeah.
And I saw you at the Capitol on more than one occasion, at more than one press conference. You
Yes.
spent numerous hours, whether it's online or talking to media. I mean, you were, next to Mr. Blackman, you were probably the number two person. Your father passed away last year, so this is, the bill was named after him.
Yes.
So this was very important for you for it to pass, but driving up 3.5 hours, one way is a heavy lift. And you were definitely there at the Capitol on numerous times.
Yes. I mean, to your point, I again, I don't understand, and I think I addressed that in my letter. I don't understand why Representative Blackman treated me and my family that way. And I was very clear to him numerous times. I'm not asking for this proclamation for me. I'm asking for my aunt so she can see it while she's still here with us, before she passes on. And I explained it to him, that she's losing her eyesight and everything. And I always got like I was just blown off, and I it was, that's the only thing that I can think of. And I'm not going to mention the name, but really infuriated me was, and I heard from another representative that, you know, Mr. Blackman had a copy of the proclamation hanging up in his office, and he was taking pictures with it. He was taking it down around, and taking pictures with constituents with it. All of this time, all of these months, while I was asking him for the proclamation. So, there it all and then I sent you the text messages that he would send back to me. I have more of them, and it's just and emails and phone calls, and it borders to me on cruel, very, very cruel. Just, I have something that you want, and I'm not going to give it to you. And so, I addressed that to Speaker Montenegro. I believe, it was something my dad always said, if you cannot be responsible with little things, you will not be trusted with big things later in life. I don't understand why Mr. Blackman would treat me that way, treat me the way he did. But Representative Wynn and Speaker of the House Montenegro did come through for me, and so I just I don't have an explanation for why Mr. Blackman would conduct himself the way he did. But I will tell you this. I will say this. This kind of uh, whether it's just, you know, I've already gotten everything I need from you, so you're no longer important to me, okay? Or it's malicious. I leave it to Speaker Montenegro to figure that out. That's his job as a Speaker of the House to be able to decide, the appropriate amount of responsibility he should delegate to his subordinate representatives that he's in charge of in the House. But, you know, all he had to do was take it off his wall, hand it to his assistant, say, scan this to a PDF and email it to this email. He has my email address, and email it to this email address. Done. But instead, it went week after week, month after month, me asking for this. And all I got was platitudes.
Well, sir, we thank you for trusting us to tell your story, telling, the facts as you have told them. We will reach out to Mr. Blackman and obviously give him a chance to, tell his version of the story. But for State 48, we saw the numerous times that you were there, in the courtyard, in the courthouse, by his side, on the lives. And so we felt it necessary to give you this opportunity, this small platform, to tell your story. And I am so happy that your aunt was able to get a copy, of the proclamation.
I'd like to add one thing if I could.
Yes, sir.
It is October the 28th, and I still have not had any communications from Representative Blackman since that text message I sent you in August. And I still never got a correct proclamation. The proclamation that I handed to my aunt is signed by Representative Wynn. He had nothing to do with the bill, except supported it. He voted for it. But I just want to point that out. So
That is a good point to end on, is I do think it was highly unusual. He was a co-sponsor of the bill. He kind of signed onto it, but the proclamation is usually signed by the bill's actual sponsor. And so that is likely why you had to go through sponsor Speaker Montenegro for him to give the authority for Representative Wynn to reproduce it. And we do thank Representative Wynn for, interceding and everything he did to make sure that you had at least a copy to give your aunt. But you are correct. The correct proclamation should have come from Mr. Blackman with his signature on it.
well, it's hanging up on his wall in his office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.